message up there. Okay, so we are now recording. And
We
I just
were.
want to recap real quickly, Omar, so that you can correct me if I got anything wrong. Hold on just a second here. It doesn't want to allow me to change the size of my screen.
That's
Okay,
something I can
so
do.
originally from Colombia, you've been an expat in the oil and gas industry and lived abroad mostly in South America, but 9.5 years total in Saudi. And you have two kids, one who's 11 months old, and the other who I don't know how old he is, but both have basically lived most of their life there in Saudi Arabia. You're 50
Yeah,
years
but
old.
there is one thing. Yeah, my kids is not 11 months old. He was 11 months old when he came here for the first time.
Okay.
So he the oldest is 13 years old now, and
13. Okay.
that's the one that arrived at 11 months old,
Yeah.
and the youngest is 10 years old.
10 years old. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. And you're 50, you're a petroleum engineer, and you've got basically two options that you've discussed moving forward. One is to stay put for 10 more years and take retirement. And option two would be to work 5 more years and then do something else with either your own business. And that's something that I wanted to have you delve into a little bit more, if you would. I'm assuming that that's related to the um, real estate industry, since it seems like you've developed an interest there.
Correct, correct. So that is my plan. I would like that to be the plan A, because that will benefit all the family in terms that my kids are going to go to the university. They are not going to be close. And I think the time is enough to be here as well. We like pork and we like drinks as well. Not that much, but those are things difficult to find here because of the religion.
Could you say that one more time? I had my volume a little bit low and I didn't catch that. So the kids are going
No,
to go to university where? In Saudi Arabia?
no, no. Most probably they are going to go either to Latin America or to USA. So yeah, we want to be closer to them. So that is why probably we are putting the 5 years period like the maximum time. And you
Gotcha.
are right. I found in real estate like something first that I like. I'm really passionate about that. I have a lot of discussions with my wife because I'm just in trying to be in masterminds, trying to take a lot of webinars, trying to listen to podcasts, reading books about it, and trying to take some courses as well, all about real estate. So that's something I like and I'm passionate about. And second as well is because real estate in the United States is kind of a good place to do or to be. Real estate in Latin America is not as good as the United States in terms of returns, in terms of loans or financing from the banks. Um, it seems to me that it's a good place to be. So I'm trying to focus in learning more about it. So probably my business in 5 years time is going to be related to real estate in the United States.
Fantastic. So I noticed that you've already started investing. So could you talk a little bit more about your what you've done so far in real estate? When did you make your first investment, and kind of bring me up to date on that?
Right. I've been investing in real estate in Colombia for a long time, but I've been very small there. So I have a couple of like single apartments. You cannot buy the whole um, uh, set of apartments. You just buy one. So I have a couple of those there. But in 2017, I moved into the United States. My interest moved to United States. So I started by buying two single family homes in Dallas through a turnkey provider. I still have them. Hopefully, in 2 days, I'm selling one of them. Second one, probably I will sell it the end of this year. And that was kind of the first step I did. And I wanted to go that way, but then I understood that it was not going to be easy to scale. And even if it is a turnkey model, you are involved, and just a single maintenance issue will eat up all your the gains that you did in 1 year. So it is not really working. 2019, 2000, probably 18, I knew about multifamily, and I started getting trying to get more information. I started talking to a couple of people. July 2019, I traveled to Dallas, and I had the chance to be in one of these Brad Sunbrook events. I don't know if you know him.
I do.
In one of these weekends. So I attended one of these weekends. I made a lot of contacts. Before traveling there, I already established a couple of contacts with syndicators. So at the end of 2019, I decided to invest as a limited partner in 2 deals. The first deal was in Phoenix, and second deal was in Austin. And then I kept learning, kept establishing more networking platforms. And in 2020, end of 2020, I participated in 2 more deals, one in San Antonio, Texas, and the other one in Dallas. And that's what I've done. And this year, I'm already kind of analyzing more deals and trying to select probably 2 more deals to invest this year.
So the deals that you got into, were they all through the Sumrock program or Sumrock student sponsors?
So one of them was a Bradson Brooks student, but that deal, he didn't do it within that network. It was kind of his first independent deal that he did. So all the structure, all the partners were from outside that group, but he was a student of Bradson Brookman himself. The rest of the deals, well, the second and third deal, no, they were not Bradson Brook students. And the last deal I did, the one in Dallas, the fourth one, she's a Bradson Brook student.
So who did you invest with on the different deals?
The persons?
Yeah.
So first deal is a guy that is called Zach.
Okay. I know Zach. Okay. And the second deal in Austin?
Second deal, it was through Alina Tribuk, I think it is her name, correct? She's from New York, but she was not the dealist. I mean, the main sponsor. I think she was kind of she was participating in the equity raise, but the sponsor is hold on, I have that name here somewhere. Difficult for me to remember those names in English, but hold on. Where is it? Anyway, Windhorst. Yeah, let me just look at it. Hold on. Okay, the third deal was with James Kandasamy. I don't know if you.
I know James. Okay.
Yeah, I did a deal with him. And the third deal was with Sandia, as well, from the Bradson Brook group.
Yep, I know Sandia also. Okay.
Yeah, so now the only one that is still pending, I'm gonna give you. You don't know Alini?
What's the Ali as in ALI?
Yeah, ALINE. I think her last name is Tribuk or Trubuk.
How do you spell that?
Don't remember.
Okay. That's okay. I don't recognize that person. So did you join the Sunrock ecosystem? Did you join their training um, group?
I didn't. I didn't.
Have you joined any of the other ones? With any of these other um, gurus or trainers or mentors?
Not yet. So what I did was I was trying to vet all of them, and I spoke to I think most of them. Michael Blanc. Um, um, oh gosh, I'm bad for names. Anyway, Gino, Jake and Gino. Um, well, I vetted like 4 or 5 groups, and I knew about Bradson Rock, but no, I didn't join any of those.
Okay. So I first off, congratulations for being smart enough not to. I think
Yeah,
that's money best kept in your pocket or put into another deal. You'll learn a lot more from putting that money into a deal than you'll ever learn from a guru or from an individual mentor, teacher, whatever you want to call them. And that's something that I've had to learn the hard way. And I like to tell people I'm not a racehorse. I'm a mule. And what I mean by that is I learn very slowly, and I'm very stubborn. And so I have been a part of many of those programs, and I kept for 40 years going back to them and back to them and back to them, looking for that um, piece of the puzzle, if you will, that I was missing, and it was never there until I finally realized that the missing piece of the puzzle wasn't to be found there; it was to be found in me. That I was the missing piece of the puzzle, and it took me a long time to really come to that realization. But also, I'll tell you that having been a part of so many of those, I don't want to say there's no value at all. I've taken some value from every program I've ever been in or a part of, but usually the value is in the people I meet. And the irony is, it doesn't cost anything to meet people. That's something that you can do. It takes some effort. I mean, you have to physically try to do it, as opposed to going to a conference where there may be 500 of them, which I think is a much better use of your money to spend, $100 to get to spend a day with 500 other people. But being honest with you, that's still not the most efficient use of your time. And in fact, I would argue that I could get you a lot more connections for that same $100 that are probably better than the ones that you received at the conference. And but anyway, all of that aside, I think that it's pretty obvious that you're taking massive action toward trying to make that 5-year goal happen. Uh, and uh, and so I guess my biggest curiosity right now is how can I help you in what you're trying to do, and what are you what's the biggest obstacle that you have right now?
yeah, no, thank you for that, Jim. And just to go a little bit back to these mentorship programs, and I agree with you, and that's why I didn't join anyone. I think I had a bad impression from the very first time when I attended Bradson Rock. It was a show, and I paid the tickets to go there. I didn't go there just because of that. I had to do a couple of other things, but I had to pay a hotel. I had to pay my family with me was with me there, etc. 2 different hotels, etc. And it was a show, and he was selling, and that nothing wrong with that. But I was going there for training, for knowledge, and I didn't get what I was expecting to get. And the other options, they looks good. People are talking good about those. Obviously, there are other people like that says it's not worth it, but I see the same. At the end, it's more or less the same. They're trying to ask you for a lot of money, and really, it's not worth it. So yeah, but again, going back to your question now, that put me in a tough situation, and I think that is my limiting belief. And is that now my question is really, well, two things mainly: is how can I, from the place where I am now, not being an USA citizen, try to make it happen? Try to find the right way path to build what I want to build in the United States, and then have that in 5 years as my option to dedicate my time there. What does it involve is what I think are my main concerns, because that involves one, knowledge. I can gain some knowledge from books, podcasts, but there are a couple of things that takes me time to understand, or takes me time to find the person that is willing to sit with me and say, no, invest on return means this, while invest off return means this. That kind of concepts and all of that. Sometimes I don't have it handy, and it takes me time. So knowledge is one thing. Second thing is networking. So who is gonna pay attention to a guy that is non-USA citizen, not living in the United States, and is so far? So probably everybody's looking for partnerships. I think I'm not in the right place to be like the first option for many people, because of those things. So networking is an issue. And third is financing. Because even if I want to go by myself and try to do everything by myself and start trying to raise capital and find the apartment, and probably a small deal like 20 apartments or 40 apartments, just because of the reason that I am not a USA resident, put the financing options very limited. Because I spoke to Julie about that.
Excuse me 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see if I can figure out how to close that. Well, it definitely does not want to close.
I think it's a background music that we can live with. Okay.
Well, that was that's a phone call coming through on my computer, and I closed the phone app, and it was gone, but it refused to go away. But anyway,
Yeah, no
I
problem.
apologize for that.
No problem.
Let's see. So you feel that because you're not a U.S. citizen, because you're not here, that those are both limiting factors for your success in getting to where you want to go. And I can tell you that those are indeed limiting factors. And it would be disingenuous for me to say that they're not. But having said that, I'm very much a person that hates to be told you cannot do that. And what I pride myself on is I think every time I hear a situation where normally someone would say, yeah, you can't do that, the very first thing that comes to my mind is, well, how can I do that? And so I think that the biggest piece of what you're talking about is just educational. The more you know, the more you're going to know how to overcome whatever obstacles that are placed in front of you. And it's not always necessarily just being a curious person. You'd be surprised how many times you're going to find an answer from outside of real estate that you can apply and say, I wonder if that would work in real estate. And so there are definitely lots of ways to overcome both of those limiting factors. And so I wouldn't worry about them. And I think that you just need to align yourself with the right people that will help you get past those limiting factors. And so that goes back to networking, which also you're concerned about. And I agree with you, being where you are makes it a limiting factor. But look at you and I right now. We're networking, you're across the world. It doesn't matter. You could be next door. You could be sitting out in my driveway. And we're networking. And so because of the COVID environment and because of technology like Zoom, the networking piece is absolutely not a factor. You just need to find out how do I get in front of the right people? Where can I find the people that I need to find? And then I can connect to them. So I think from your networking perspective, it's just figuring out which pond to fish in. If you understand that analogy, I apologize if I say something that doesn't make any sense. A little
I got it.
okay. I was born and raised in Tennessee, so I still use a lot of those hillbilly colloquialisms. And but if you know which ponds you need to fish in, then it's just a matter of going there, right? And so I don't see that really as a problem. And most of what you're doing right now, um, I think can actually be advantages for you. So I see just the little bit that I know right now about you, I see a lot of what I think are obvious advantages. And I like to make the analogy of, do you want to fish in a pond where everyone is fishing, and you have to elbow your way up to the water to throw your line in? Or would you rather fish in a pond where you're the only guy? It's your pond. And so I think you have a lot of unique pieces about your story and about your situation where you can fish in your own pond. And I'd rather be fishing in a pond, one man in 100 fish, as opposed to fishing in a pond, one fish left and 100 men trying to catch it. And so
Yeah.
I think that's where you are. And it's just hard to see sometimes. What's that old expression? It's hard to see the forest for the tree. When you're
Yeah.
standing so close to the tree, you can't see where you are. And there's there's a deal that I'm closing here next week in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with a couple of my newer friends, and that I'm helping them get their first apartment deal. And they're the sponsors, or they are the lead on the deal. I am the sponsor that has the experience and the capital and the net worth and the liquidity that they needed to get the deal done. So they found me where I found them. Honestly, I don't remember which came first, the chicken or the egg, but regardless, we were able to team up, and I'm able to give them the things that they're missing so that they could get the deal done. And they're doing that from England. Now they are US citizens, so they don't have that limiting factor. But aside from that, I tell you that only to tell you that if they can do it from England, you can do it from Saudi Arabia. That where you are can be a huge, huge limiting factor. When I first started doing this, I'm in Chicago, and I chose Texas as my primary market. And just like you found out, it didn't cost you $100 to go see Brad Sumrock. It probably cost you $7,000, $8,000. By the time you factor in the flights to and fro, back and forth, the hotel rooms, the meals, entertaining, the rental car, all of those different things. And the reason I know that is that I did the same thing when I decided I was going to invest in Texas. For 18 months, I was flying down to Texas for the weekend, and usually a long weekend. And every time I would go there, it would cost me $4,000, between all those factors. And I did that at least 18 times and probably more. And so it can be very, very difficult to build out a market from a distance. And I experienced that, and I beat my head against the wall for a long time trying to build all those relationships. And so I understand how frustrating it can be, and trying to figure out how to overcome that. But the good news is that I did overcome it, and so can you. And I can tell you from my experience how I think it's best accomplished, to overcome those limiting factors. And I don't know, I don't want to take up a ton of your time, but I do want to tell you that I come from an entrepreneurial background. So my background, I've owned several different businesses, but I've also had a lot of failures in my life. But my life, I think, is best described as all uphill. You know, for every 2 steps forward, I take 1 step back. But I've never stopped growing. So the overall progress is still forward and upward. And I say that only to tell you that I had the biggest mistake of my life in 2020. So in 2020, it was the worst year of my life from that perspective of how much money I lost, but also it was the best year of my life. So the first half was the worst year of my life. We had a huge large six-figure loss in Phoenix. And we thought, you know, I'm about to turn, 63 here in a few days or a couple of weeks. And I had a hard choice to make. Was I going to stay in the business or was I going to retire? And so I decided to take some time off. I took a few months off and went to Hawaii to spend some time with my grandson and my son. And I came away from that with the decision that I was going to try to stay in the business. And I opened a new venture that is still relatively new. We're still in the launching stage, but basically, just to summarize it very quickly, I have been a part of many of those mentoring programs. I'm embarrassed to say how many of them I've been a part of. If I had all of the money that I spent on those programs in my pocket, then I could buy a pretty big apartment complex by myself, because those programs typically cost anywhere from, in today's dollars, 30 grand, 50 grand, even 100 grand. And so you can imagine if I've been I can't say how many, but it's more than 4 and less than 10 of those programs that I've been a part of. And so I decided to take all of my experience and knowledge and the lessons I've learned through, through life in being an entrepreneur, and also take everything that I had learned from those different guru programs and to put all of it in a package and to give it away for free. And so that's what you've probably never heard of the GOB network of apartment investors, but it is something that I launched here a few months ago, and it is on fire right now. It is growing very, very rapidly. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, in a nutshell, 80% of the people that join those programs never buy an apartment building. And even the people who are really trying hard to do it, most of them fail. They never get the return on investment that they expected to get or they wanted. And so my program is really meant to try to help that 80% that had something standing in their way. There was some obstacle that they could not overcome. And so I want to eliminate as many obstacles as I can eliminate. And I want to provide all of the services and resources that a person would need to actually buy their first apartment building or their 10th apartment building. You know, if they're stuck at 10 and their goal is 100, they have an obstacle that's preventing them from moving forward, then I want to provide a solution to those obstacles. And as I said, I'm doing it based upon a model that has never been used in our industry. And that I cannot describe it in one word, but I could describe it maybe in 5. So one would be freemium, the freemium model. So I'm not charging anything financially to be a part of the GOB network. The other would be crowdsourcing, a hive mind. In other words, if you can think of Wikipedia, they use a hive mind to build Wikipedia. So anyone can write an article and put it up. So you as a petroleum engineer, if you wanted to write an article about your expertise, you could write an article and put it on Wikipedia. So that is the power, because anyone. So instead of me having a company like, the Encyclopedia Britannica or the World Book Encyclopedia, where I hire, 100 different editors to write articles for my 27 volumes that I then go out and sell for $700 or $800. Instead of that, we tell everyone in the entire planet, look, you can write an article. So that power of everyone being able to apply their knowledge to a problem it cannot be underestimated, the exponential quality of how that can grow. But also at the same time, that's also its biggest fault, its biggest downfall, because anyone can write. So I am not a petroleum engineer, but I could write an article in rebuke of your article about whatever you decided to write on, even though I have no clue what I'm talking about. But the beautiful thing is that because anyone can, the editor of the process is everyone. So anyone can write an article, and everyone is responsible for editing that article and calling out the fact that you're an expert in this field. Jim has no clue what he's talking about and has no right to be saying what he's saying. And effectively, what you see is what happened with Wikipedia. It's become, by default, the largest collection of knowledge that's ever existed in the world. And so that model of a hive mind is another word that I would use to describe what I'm trying to do. The other is, if you are familiar with programming at all, and you know the Windows operating system and the Linux operating system. The biggest difference is that Linux is the outside of the US, it's open source, and it's the most popular operating system in the world outside the US. And the beauty behind Linux is that if you know anything about programming, because it's open source, if you see one little mistake in one line of code, you can go in and correct it. And so imagine if you have literally millions of engineers or programmers going in and constantly making efficiencies in Linux, as opposed to the 1,000 engineers at Microsoft. You're fighting a battle that you cannot win. And so that open source idea, another way I would describe it is similar to a co-op or a cooperative, where we all band together to be able to take advantage of efficiencies that an individual could not necessarily be able to do. So that, and I'm trying to apply that that model to everything in commercial real estate. Now, what does that mean, everything? So if it's education, I'm trying to apply it to education. If it's funding, I'm trying to apply it to funding. I'm trying to apply it to sourcing deals. I'm trying to apply it to finding partners. I'm trying to apply it to networking. I'm trying to apply it to any aspect that you can think of that might have an obstacle built into it. I want to apply it to all of those spaces. Now, in the very beginning, the easiest place for me to do it is in multifamily, because that's what I know the most about. And so I laid out a foundation, or started to lay out a foundation, and gather all of the information that I have and try to put it in one place. And that place has become, what I have called the GOB network of apartment investors. And so you don't need to pay for knowledge. There's lots of free resources out there. What I'm striving to be is the largest resource out there of free knowledge about this subject matter. But knowledge is only one small piece of it. Knowledge is just kind of the starting point, if you will. So for you, I think that knowledge is one piece, but the networking piece, I could put you in a room with a lot of other people that are already doing exactly what you want to do, and also people that are doing it from afar, and even the people that are not on my platform. I know a whole lot more people. My network is much larger than what my platform is at this stage. This time next year, I doubt that'll be the case. But I could introduce you to a lot of people that are already doing it, that you could network with and bounce ideas off of, and maybe even create your own little mastermind of people who invest in apartments from afar. And I don't mean from afar as in California to New York, but outside the United States. And Also, in regard to finding partners, we've already found a much, much, much more efficient way for you to find partners. So what took me 18 months to build out in Texas, I basically found a way that I could shortcut that and literally eliminate it, make it available to you within minutes instead of months. So in other words, I have pre-vetted a group of people and I've asked them to self-identify whether or not they are an apartment investor, what market they want to invest in, whether or not they live there, whether or not they're willing to be boots on the ground for other investors there, and whether or not they want to be a GP, an LP, a KP, a JV, whatever that looks like. So I've basically filtered through all of these people and then give you the ability, say if you want to build out an ecosystem in Dallas, that you could literally go to a folder and say, these are all the people that have already identified themselves as all of those pieces in Dallas. And so that's the kind of efficiencies that I'm trying to build and the kind of efficiencies you'll find because of the way we're building it. Look, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm not, as we would say where I'm from, you're not the sharpest tool in the shed, and I just happen to be the first one to say, what if I were to apply this model to commercial real estate? And nobody else has done that. And so I rely on people much, much smarter than me to help me figure all this out and to build this out. But I also use my own personal experiences and in finding partnerships from a distance, because I'm in Chicago. I experience the same feelings that you're going through and the same obstacles, and I just couldn't figure out a better way because everyone was always teaching us that we had to take steps 1 through 10. And so basically they were forcing everyone to start at 0 and do step number 1, then step number 2, 3, 4, and that's inefficient. So why not, if I've already taken steps 1 through 5, why do you need to repeat that? Why can't you come in and jump on my shoulders and go steps 5 through 10? And then somebody else comes and jumps on your shoulders and goes steps 10 to 15. So that is what I'm trying to create, those kinds of efficiencies wherever I can. There should not be one way of doing anything. There should be many ways of doing it. And you don't know which one's going to be best or most efficient because every situation is different. Every person is different. So the more ways you can create, the more paths that you can create, you effectively create more and more efficiencies and make it easier for people to get what they want. So I've spent a lot of time talking about it, but I would tell you that if you joined with us in this, that you could add a tremendous amount of value for us. And I think we could exponentially provide you with value coming back. And I would love to have you with us. But having said that, you reached out to me for a connection, excuse me. And whether or not we are connected via our platform, the GOB network platform, or whether we're just connected one-on-one is irrelevant to me. I am happy for the connection. I'm happy that you took time out of your day to reach out. I'm grateful for that. I love connecting with people that are in the industry, and I will do everything I can to try to help you accomplish your goals, whether it's inside of my network, which I think is the most efficient way, or whether it's just one-on-one between us. I'll do whatever I can, because that's my mission, is to try to help as many investors as I can in 2021 to obtain their goals. Now, for you, it's a little bit different. You're already well on your path, and to be perfectly honest with you, you do not need me, and you do not need my platform. You do not need some other guru's platform. I can tell just on the action that you've already taken, you're going to accomplish your goals, whether it's 5 years or 7 years, or it could be 3 years. I don't know what that is, but I do know that you will accomplish them, because your action already tells me that you're the type of person that when you put your mind to it, you're not just, you're serious about it. You're going to take, massive action to make it happen. So I'll come down off my soapbox and and let you get a word in edgewise.
That's amazing, and thank you for sharing all of that. I think it is very interesting what you're doing, very commendable. But let me ask you two things. One is, how does it work for a person like me? I mean, if I'm gonna join the group that you have, what does it involve? It involves some kind of commitment, some kind of work from my side, I guess. How does it work and how frequent? Second question is, what is in there? What is there for you? I mean, what do you get from all of
What's in
these?
it for me? Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I'm not a saint. I'm not Mother Teresa. And when I started this, um, it has. Let me say first off that it has become something much more than I expected it to. For me personally, it has become a passion project, which I really was not expecting. So right now, if I never gained any benefit from it, um, in a financial sense, it would be something that I cannot put down. The things that I'm gaining from it on a personal level, intellectually, karma, if you will. I don't know what else to call it, but from a good karma perspective, and for leaving a legacy for all the investors that come behind us. Um, it's always been for me, I've always wanted to leave a legacy, and I never knew what that looked like. I always thought it was going to be, I was going to leave a business to my kids, and I've realized that this is the legacy that I'm meant to leave. And that if I were to step away from it right now, what I've started, the momentum that it's already gained, will be here long after I'm gone. And so for me, it's something that I'm very, very passionate about because of that. But what I intended the benefit to me to be was, and it's also why I beta tested this on new investors, was after my big hiccup, or what does Rod Cleef like to call it, seminar, my big failure out in Phoenix in the first half of 2020. Um, my net worth and liquidity took a big hit. And so as I said, I'm about to be 63. I don't need to do anything. I'm at a point in my life where I could go play golf 3 or 4 times a week, and my wife and I would be okay. But this is something that has bothered me for 40 years. There's been a burr under my saddle, a bad taste in my mouth about this industry, particularly the education guru piece of it. And I never knew why it bothered me, but I had a lot of time to meditate and be alone in Hawaii when I went out there during the COVID lockdown. And I literally was able to sit on a mountaintop by myself in a huge tourist destination because the island was locked down. And I did that for, we were out there for a long time. And I figured out what bothered me so much. And I figured out how to solve that, I thought. But my beta test was, look, if I can find a deal that fits my net worth and liquidity and offer that to someone who's trying to do this, but they're not having success. In other words, if I take and eliminate every obstacle, say, look, here's the deal, you don't have to find it. You can use my net worth, you can use my liquidity. I have KP experience, I'm already the bank. I'm in the Fannie and Freddie club, if you will. So the only obstacle left is you. Do you want to take this deal and run with it? Or is your fear going to get in the way? Or some other limiting belief going to get in the way of you doing this deal? And I thought if I could do that and eliminate those obstacles, that I could help a lot more people get into the business. But I also thought if I help enough people, that some of them are going to come back to me and say, Jim, yes, we want to move forward, but we can't do it unless you join us on the deal, because the bank says we have to have X, Y, and Z. So I figured my benefit would be I would get on deals with these various people. Will I get on a deal with all of them? No, because my platform is being built in such a way that there's going to be lots of people to partner with. It doesn't need to be me. And not everyone is going to ask me to be on their deal. And I'm not actively trying to get on every deal. I'm being very passive about it. So if people want me to be on the deal, they ask me to be on the deal, then I will generally say yes. But if they're under no obligation to ask me, and they can do it by themselves or with anyone else that's on my platform. And so I'm testing the abundance mentality. In other words, I'm giving everything that I can give with the thought that it'll come back to me, even in more abundance. And to be honest with you, everyone likes to believe that they have an abundance mentality, but my experience is most people don't. They do up until it's tested. And when it's truly tested in a way that affects them personally, then usually it gets junked and thrown out the window. And so I'm trying to put that belief to as big a test as I can possibly do. And so far, honestly, in just 3 months, I think that I have proven to myself that not only is it absolutely real, but I am benefiting more than I expected to benefit from it. So that's the benefit for me.
That's great. That's amazing. And I like the philosophy and everything that is behind that. So thank you for sharing. It's really good. What would be the next step for me?
Well, if you were interested in looking at it and seeing if it's something you thought you might want to participate in, I'll send you a welcome packet, if you will. I'll send you an email. It'll ask you to fill out a form. And the purpose of the form is so that we know who you are and how to get in touch with you and what your interests are and what your outside interests are and your outside expertise is. And whether that comes from your life experience or whether it comes from your job or whether it comes from your education or it comes from all of the above. And the reason we do that is that's basically, for lack of a better word, let's just call it an application. And it helps me to put people together, because the way I identify who you are and where you are and how you might be able to find synergy with other people is through the questionnaire. It's very short. It takes a minute, 90 seconds to fill out. It basically says what's your name, email, and phone number, and where are you located, what's your W-2 job, and what are things that you have a particular expertise in, and are you a GP, an LP, a KP, a JV, or all of the above? And that's basically it. Okay. And whether or not your boots on the ground. So for you, your boots on the ground for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
if we want to buy something in Saudi Arabia, you're the go-to guy.
I'm here. I'm the
You're
guy.
the go-to guy. And you did ask another question, which was, what does it cost to join? And I told you there's no financial cost, but there is a cost. And that cost is I expect people to participate. If they want to be part of the platform and to benefit from the platform, you really cannot benefit if you don't participate. It's like saying you want to be a football player, but you never want to go in the game. You can't really be a football player if you don't get in the game. And so I ask people to participate. And what does that look like? So when you add value to our platform, and You'll hear me say over and over and over again, I expect you to give as much as you get, to leave as much as you take. And what does that look like? It's going to be different for every person. Somebody with absolutely no experience and no knowledge may feel like they have nothing to contribute, but everyone has something to contribute. It doesn't matter how you participate, how you contribute. So I'll give you an example. If your son was 13, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, your son's 13 years old. How could he possibly contribute to this space? Well, very easily. I can show him how to do a Google search and how to find brokers in a particular market, and then build out a spreadsheet, or not, and I don't mean build out a spreadsheet, basically fill in the blanks, taking copy and paste a name and an email address into a form. And that would be a tremendous value, because he's taking time to wherever he's putting his time, it's not just going away. In other words, whenever I do something, I try to always see how can I bring it back to the platform some way and add more value. So if I'm looking up a broker or looking up a deal, I don't just keep that knowledge to myself. I, at the same time, add it to the platform, so that that knowledge is not just my knowledge, it now becomes the knowledge of the entire platform. And so it's very easy to add value to the platform. Sometimes it's as simple as sharing an article that you read that made an impression on you. Sometimes it's making an introduction to somebody that you know that somebody else doesn't know. So it's very easy to add value to the platform. And there is no gauge. We don't weigh how much you're putting in and how much you're taking out. It, like Wikipedia, is self-governed. So this platform is not for everyone. It is not built specifically for an A-driven personality that is always out for number one. Can a person like that be on the platform? Absolutely. Can a person like that benefit from the platform? Absolutely. Can a person like that add value to the platform? Again, I'm going to say absolutely, but it's not geared for that kind of person. And the reason for that is people like that have a tendency, a very, very, very human nature, common tendency, is to take more than they give. And so it's up to us as a platform to always be on the lookout for people that will intentionally hurt someone else for their own benefit, that will intentionally try to steal your deal from you or step on you in order to get up, if you know what I mean. And I can't do that by myself, just like Wikipedia cannot police every article or edit every article that goes up on their website, but everyone can. And that's the power of our platform. I could have done this, and I thought about doing it by myself. But if I'm going to take on a task like this by myself, and I'm going to start out, let's say, in the educational piece, I would have to hire a staff, just like all these other gurus have staff. I'd have to start building out all the pieces that they've already built out. And it would not only be expensive for me to do, but it would also be much slower than what I was wanting to accomplish. And to be quite honest with you, I don't trust my intellect to do this. I am relying 100% on people that are smarter than me. And I'm relying on everyone that's on this platform to build this platform. I'm just a cog in the wheel. I'm just the guy who took the first step. But the platform, quite honestly, it no longer belongs to me. It belongs to everyone that is on the platform. It belongs to the people who are actually using it and taking advantage of the things that it has to offer, and are also at the same time adding value back to it. So that's kind of to answer that question of the cost for you and what I ask of the people that are on the platform.
That sounds really great. And yeah, I'll appreciate if you can send me the application form. I really want to join it. And for sure that if I'm there, that is gonna be a platform I will use a lot. Not only, as you said, to provide things that I can, but also to networking and get things that people can put there. So yeah, I would love to.
Well, I would send it to you today. And also, real quickly, would you mind sharing with me what your net worth and liquidity are?
Yeah, when you mentioned that is including the investments or only liquidity?
Well, liquidity, your investments would not count. They would count in your net worth calculation. They would not count in your liquidity because they're actually lowering your liquidity because real estate is not a liquid asset. So if you
Right.
have 200,000 in your investments in your LP investments right now, that does not count in your liquidity.
Yeah, correct.
So
Yeah, I know that.
liquidity,
So
yeah, typically is your cash value of life insurance, stocks and bonds, anything that you have in the bank, uh, and typically excluding and net worth for net worth calculations, excluding your primary residence.
yeah, right. Yeah, so it is about 500,000 dollars
For which one, Omar?
net
Liquidity or
worth.
net worth?
Net worth.
Okay. And do you know where you are on your liquidity?
Liquidity, it's around 100,000.
Okay. And I asked that because the, I always used to think that the guru's program, their business model was broken, that there was something wrong with it because, when you walk into one of those things for a day or a weekend, they get up on stage and usually one of the first things they say is, 80% of you are not going to join this program. You're not going to take this journey with us. And that's okay because it's not for you. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
And
that's right.
and I
We
always
will
thought,
see.
go ahead.
They said we will see if you are a good fit for us and we are a good
Right,
fit for you. So
right, right. And I always thought that was, quite honestly, I always thought it was stupid because I've owned a lot of businesses and never, when you walked in my front door, did I say, look, you're probably not going to buy anything from me. There's an 80% chance we're not ever going to do business together. It always
yeah,
felt like to me that you're dividing the room up and you're telling 80% of the net worth, 80% of the liquidity that, okay, we don't want to do business with you. And I always thought, well, that's dumb. You're telling, that's where I always thought you were supposed to concentrate on the 80% of the money, not the 20%. But I realized that in a nutshell, that their business plan is actually brilliant because they are laser focused on one personality type. And when they find that person, they're trying to weed out everybody else as fast as they possibly can. And that's the real reason why they charge as much as they do for these programs, is they know there's only one type of person that would ever do that. And I've always been that person. So I would continually fall prey to those tactics. But anyway, in a nutshell, the real goose that laid the golden egg, if you will, is their application includes, when you join those programs, they want to know what your net worth is, your liquidity, how much you make per year, and how much money you have right now that you're willing to invest. And for most
yeah,
people, the answer to those questions, um, the investment piece is where a lot of people wash out of the program because they just gave the guru the last 30 grand or 50 grand that they had. And now they don't have any more money to invest in a deal. So now they're on this path where they have to get the education that they're looking for with the belief that that education is going to help them find the net worth and liquidity that they need to partner up with in order to get a deal done. And that is the real goose that laid the golden egg, is that list of information. Because when you go to a guru now and you have no money, so what is your path back into a deal? You have to find a deal, bring it to the guru and say, will you partner with me on this deal? And I know this because I've done it time and time again. And usually the answer you get is, we only partner with our students. And so, okay, here's my money. I'm a student. Will you partner with me on this deal? Well, we don't take any deal. You've got to, the deal has to be vetted. We have to look at the deal. Okay, put my deal through your vetting process and let's see, okay, it passed the vetting. Will you partner with me on the deal? And usually the answer is, well, I would prefer that you partner with some of the other students first and do this 2 or 3 times. And if you're successful at it, then come back to me. And if you bring that guru a deal, just for the sake of argument, let's say I have a $20 million deal and I bring it to that guru. The first thing he's going to do, if he likes the deal, is pull out his list and say, okay, I need 20 million in net worth. Omar has it. Okay. I need a couple of 100,000 liquid. Okay. Jim has that. And I need somebody to sign as a KP who's done it before and has boots on the ground. Okay. Jane can do that. So they have all the information that they need to put that deal together. And when you ask them to share that information, it's always a flat no. And that's where rubber hits the road, where you know they really don't have an abundance mentality, is because they will not share that information with you. And I told you one of the limiting factors is getting access to that I could condense in 1 minute and help you find a lot of those things, is because I'm sharing those kind of lists with you. I'm sharing with you who those people are and making it easy for you to connect with them, where the gurus will not do that. And I think that's one of the most powerful pieces.
Yeah, you're right. I've seen that as well over and over.
So let me, again, I apologize for talking as much as I do. If you can't tell, I get a little passionate about it.
Yeah, I can see that. I like it as well because it is something new. I didn't hear about that. But at the same time, I spoke to, I don't know, I don't remember, like 2 or 3 guys, because I've been there working a lot recently. And they mentioned your name and they asked me, hey, are you in this group of Jim Biggs? And I said, no, I just don't know him. And so they say, okay, just have a look at it. So people is talking about that.
Well, I'm glad they are. That tells me that that reaffirms to me that this idea of a hive mind is working. You know, that that it will grow exponentially without me, because if we've got an honest, true platform that that is doing what we're saying that it's doing, then I think that you know, it's going to grow exponentially without us. So I'm very happy to hear that it's starting to spread without me having to actually do it. So
yeah.
So any other questions that you have for me today, Omar?
Does this group organize kind of meetings, online meetings, like once per month or something like that?
We do. So right now, and one of the things that we're doing to try to help capital raisers, because capital raisers are one of the unique categories within our industry that you need to put deals together. So we have a section, a meeting that's dedicated to capital raisers, where once a week we meet to try to help figure out what the best practices are for raising capital, and what are some of the tools that everyone is using. And we just basically, it's boardroom style, where we all just sit around and bounce ideas off each other and try to see where everybody else is, what they're doing, and if we can implement some of those ideas ourselves. So we have that as a regular weekly meeting. We have a regular weekly meeting for people that want to learn to underwrite. We actually have 2 of those. We have a 3-hour really intense session for people that are really what I would say numbers type of people, that they really love spreadsheets and numbers. That's a 3-hour underwriting session every Saturday. Then every, is it Thursday?
Oh, Saturdays. What time is that?
It's from noon to 3 Central Time. So I don't know what that would be your time, but they're
Oh no,
recorded, but they are
sorry.
recorded so that if you miss them, we try to record all meetings and make those recordings available to everyone on the platform. So even if you can't make the actual physical meeting because of a time constraint, you know, that you still don't have to miss it. And then we have
Well,
another one on Thursday night. Then we have a Sunday mastermind meeting every Sunday night. And then we have a once a month Sunday meetup. And we're starting meetups around, I wanted to say, I wanted to start my meetups around the country, but I've already have people in Beijing and Hong Kong that want to start a meetup. So I'm now saying we're starting meetups around the world.
yeah, and I've heard about a couple of guys that are here that are real estate investors as well. So we can set up a one from Saudi.
I would love to
Um,
have a meetup in Saudi. The more we build this brand together, the more individually it can help us as just an individual investor. So if someone thinks of the GOB network and they're somewhere in the Middle East, then automatically they should think of Omar Gonzalez, not Jim Biggs. So the greater brand should benefit you the most where you are and where you're hanging out. So
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to take the power of that one big giant brand so that we can help you build your brand. And we're starting independent meetups to do that.
That's very good. And I was asking about the time for the meetups on Saturdays because I think somebody talked to me about those. Gemma Robles is one girl I spoke to just recently, and he
I'm sorry, who
mentioned
did you
that
say?
Gemma Robles or Gemma Robles.
Huh. I
She's she's from Puerto Rico, but she's holding underwriting meetups on Thursdays night, and the last meetup was with Rob. I'm bad for names. I don't know. One guy that is very well known for the underwriting. Anyway, and she mentioned as well the ones on Saturday, so probably she's referring to that one.
Okay. Yeah, we have a gentleman on our platform that has been doing this for a couple of years. His name is Charles Seaman. And Charles joined our platform and agreed to upload all of his underwriting recordings from the past year and a half onto the platform. And so you have a
Wow.
year and a half worth of underwriting that you could watch 3 hours at a time. And if you watched all of that, trust me, when you come away from it, you will be an expert in underwriting.
That's what I like, and that's what I know about those because I was looking for this kind of platform for underwriting because I like the numbers and I like Excel. So I'm not good at it yet, but I'm in my learning process.
So I'm going to have to look up this Jamie Robles because I do not recognize her name. Thank you very much. You already made a contribution for me today.
Just put it in
LinkedIn.
the chat. The first thing is the Wilhorn Capital. That is the name of the sponsor for the deal that I didn't remember. And this is the name of the person that was raising capital. And that's my contact for that deal, Alina Trigub.
You said We Form Capital?
Yeah.
And she's from Puerto Rico?
No. So this is about the deal that I didn't remember the name of the sponsor when I was telling you about the deals that I have.
Gotcha.
And the second name there, Gemma Robles, is the girl from Puerto Rico.
Okay. Fantastic. So let me send you the welcome letter. It's going to number one, the form will be there, but secondly, it will drop you after you finish the form. It'll drop you into a folder called First Start Here. And I think there's 3 documents in that folder. It'll take you 15 minutes to read them. And then there's a video, and the video explains the platform. And so once you've watched that video, you'll have a much better idea of where the value is. And after watching that video, if you decide that, yes, this is for me, then just respond back to me in an email, a text, any way you want to DM, and say, yep, I'm on board. Please add me to the rest of the platform. And I'll then send you 2 more emails. One will be an invitation to collaborate on a Google Drive, which is where our platform resides. And the other will be an invitation to a private Slack channel, which is, we use Slack to mingle with everyone, get to know everyone, but also to talk about deals and to talk about all of the things that are on that Google Drive. So the way we discuss the platform is within Slack.
Oh, got it. All right, that sounds amazing. I think it's going to be very interesting for me, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time and your interest, and really grateful to have the, I'm just going to say grateful to have you on board, because I really feel confident that once you see it, you'll love what we're trying to do.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be there, and definitely I will do my best to add value.
Well, I have no doubt about that. All right, Omar, I'm going to jump off. I've got another call coming up here in a few minutes that I need to get on, and feel free to get on my calendar. You know, when all of this is said and done, you know, if you have things that you want to discuss and go over that just are not, it's not efficient to do it on Slack, you know, back and forth, it's better via phone call. Feel free to jump on my calendar anytime. And I would also tell you to network with as many people on the channel as you can. You know, take advantage of it. It's there for you to use to your best advantage, you know, to what's best for you.
That's great. I will. I definitely will. So I appreciate it for giving me the opportunity as well to participate here.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Good, James. Thanks,
All right.
and nice to talk to you. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.